Alright, hey everyone, what's up? Hope you're doing well, and today we're taking a look at Nendoroid Nebula Endgame version DX. That's a long title, and I was not looking forward to taking a look at this figure, only because the Star-Lord one before it, the Marvel Nendoroid before it, was really disappointing. That Nendoroid is not cheap, and it's totally not worth the purchase at all, so I was just kind of dreading doing a Endgame review just because all the Endgame ones have felt a little lacking. But I will say that Nebula is a character that I find far more interesting than Star-Lord, and I am happy to say that the Nendoroid is actually a lot of fun, and I was blown away. I'll say it, I was blown away by how much I enjoyed it. So, taking a look at the box, and it is the typical Endgame box. You've seen it enough by now. Standard Endgame poster thing right here with some poses, some of the DX features right here, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, nothing fancy, nothing new. Like I always say, I like this gold little print right here, but that's about it. Let's take a look at the figure. Alright, and first impressions of this Nendoroid is that it is sculpted beautifully. The Ravager's costume, it looks wonderful in Nendoroid style. I said that about the Star-Lord one as well. It's sculpted beautifully, but I think the unique head sculpt of this and the detailing of the cyborg arm, it just all kind of works better for Nebula than it did with Star-Lord. I love the two shades of red here. They're both painted in this kind of satin matte look right here, and all the silver bit is properly shiny. I like the proportions on it. It's like feminine but still adorable, and that's just what Nendoroid does best, huh? I love the boots are painted this nice chocolatey reddish brown instead of everything else, so there's just a lot to appreciate and like about this figure, and it is definitely interesting to look at. It's not boring in any way. The blue head also is quite unique for an Nendoroid, so it has that going for it as well. Sticking to the details here, and I again just think it was beautifully done, and I can't imagine it done any better than this. So that's a win for this Nendoroid so far. And you may have noticed that this is articulated. It's articulated like any other superhero Nendoroids are. Nothing really stands out here. Head can look up this far, down this far, and rotate all the way around. The arms can rotate all the way around and move out this far. 90-degree bend at the elbow, and the hands are on the swivels. No ab crunch of sorts, which is kind of a disappointment, but I guess this seems to be the norm now. It doesn't break the sculpt or anything, but it does hinder articulation. So at the hips, it can rotate all the way around. Legs can move up this far, back this far, and out this far. Bend at the knee, 90-degree bend, maybe a little bit more. And the feet are on ball joints, so you get some tilt there, but not a lot. Getting to the head sculpt, and it is really unique. I mean, not a lot of Nendoroids have come with no hair, not a lot of Nendoroids are cyborg robots, and not a lot of Nendoroids are straight up blue, so this is really interesting and is definitely going to pop on the shelf. So character design really helps when it comes to translating the Nendoroid. But for this one, we have Karen Gillan, I believe, who plays Nebula. And does it look like her? Well, she doesn't even look like herself when she's playing Nebula, so that's kind of not really something we can discuss. But does it look like Nebula? Of course it does. I love these black eyes, these super intense black eyes with these little tiny specks of white. And if we get even closer, you can kind of see this gray shading here. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but it is there. She's got some eyelashes, and then the sculpt is beautiful. It's really hard to tell that this faceplate can come off as well, which is really interesting. I love the expression too. It's just Nebula. Like, I get those vibes. So it's serious, but this character should be serious, and I just enjoy it. Kind of makes me wish we had a Yondu figure, but we probably won't be seeing him. Although we are getting Killmonger, so they are going back and making villains, so we'll see. But yes, this head sculpt is doing everything for me. I can't think of something I would want it to do more. Moving on to the second expression, and it is a pissed off fighting face, and I do not like this one as much. I just think that the quiet tone of this little frown right here works better on this one, but it is nice, and as you can see, it comes with even more colors that will make the figure pop. It has this nice orange, which is part of the movie. In Endgame, Nebula looks like this, and she sometimes looks like this based on which Nebula we're talking about. I have to go back and rewatch the movie, but I'm pretty sure that this is like good Nebula and this is bad Nebula, but then they trade faces, and yeah, it's a whole thing. Now, to take this off, since there's no hair that you really can pull from, I recommend doing it from behind the ears, just like that, and just like that, the head goes on, no issues, and it looks pretty good. Again, that orange is a striking color and really brings the figure to life even more, but I'm not a huge fan. I think I just like all blue head. But a magnificent thing about both of these is that these orange parts and these blue parts can come off and they can interchange with each other, and it's just a smart little thing. So if we turn this head around, you can see these plastic little tabs in there, and if we just poke them out, we can take this blue part off. Same goes for the one underneath the eye. And what you're left with is the inner working of Nebula's head, and they could have easily just made this a flat silver, but they went in and sculpted it, and it looks beautiful. So technically you have 3 different looks to this character. You have the blue armor, the exposed mechanics look, and the orange armor plate. So there's a look at that, and that just looks cool. I mean, there's these little peg marks in there, but I think it looks cool regardless. I really like how that looks. And those pieces just go in, slide in pretty easily. They shouldn't fall out. And this actually looks the best to me. I love this face the most, and this orange actually does look better. So yeah, it's really fun. It's just nice and smart, and I am giving it praise because it's something that they could have easily ignored or done something different, where they just have a regular serious blue face and an angry orange face, but they gave the little bit extra effort into making it easy and fun to switch back and forth. And so there's multiple looks for this character, and I always appreciate that. So do they deserve praise for something that should have been done? Probably not, but considering how lazy Thor and Star-Lord were, I kind of have to give them praise here, and we're not done just yet. And as you can see, she comes with a decent amount of hands. So let's just get into them real quick. Alright, and before we get into the various hands, which she does come with quite a few, we should talk about the 2 arms that she comes with. So for her right arm, she comes with this sleeved look. Looks pretty nice. But she also comes with this unsleeved look, and it again changes the way the character looks, and it's fun, and it's a nice attention to detail. So taking the arm out is really easy, and it does stay in there pretty snug. I've had some issues with that before, but this one actually stays in pretty snug. You can see I could try to pull that one out. And there we have the other arm in, and it changes entirely what this character looks like now. She feels a bit more freer, is that a word? A bit more free, and maybe a bit more hands-on, tactical, hand-to-hand combat-wise. So that's really cool. Moving on, she also comes with this cybernetic arm, but what's also included is a second forearm that I think remains the same at the forearm, but the hand looks different. It looks different enough. So taking this out is, again, pretty easy. You just sort of lift this off the piece and put this one on, and it looks pretty similar, but the hands are different. So we have this hand, which has a bit more armor on it, some gold paint accents, and we have this one, which is a bit more exposed, almost like she's being rebuilt. And again, I just love the attention to detail. The sculpt works beautifully, it pops, and it says something about the character. It kind of gives it more personality. So you could have her look all clean and ready to fight. You could have her be a bit more on a mission, like maybe she's in a different kind of climate, or you could have her being rebuilt and her arms a little bit more and her hands a little bit more exposed. So it's just fun. I'm just kind of blown away by that. Yeah, let's move on to her hands. And I think I like this sleeveless look for her on both arms. It just looks a bit cooler to me. It looks a bit more intimidating, so I'm going to keep it this way for the rest of the review. Don't get me wrong, I like this look and all, but for me, this just feels more like Nebula. I don't know why. But starting with the hands that she's packaged with, and she comes with a pair of open kind of dynamic hands, which are great for posing. And as you can see on the sleeved hand that she's packaged with, there's a little strap right there. And they interchange, like it's not really a huge deal or anything. It doesn't look crazy to have that or anything, but they are both dynamic, I guess you'd say, with the way that they're posed. Moving on, and she comes with a pair of these uwu hands, but actually they're to recall the beginning of the Endgame movie where she is playing that game with Tony Stark. I forgot the name of it. Table something. Wow, that's embarrassing. But yeah, this is to recall that little moment that she had with Tony Stark where he was playing a game with her while they were waiting to basically die, but good old Captain Marvel showed up to save the day. Anyway, to the hands specifically, I love these. You could recreate that scene with Nendoroid Tony Stark now because they included these. It just kind of gives a different option for the character, and it's specific to the character. Sure, it's a little moment, it's not something they do all the time, but I think it kind of gives them a little bit more life, and you could easily just have her, Tony Stark, playing that little game, and it would make for a very cute photo. So I love these. And you don't have to use them for that. I mean, you could use them for other things. You could have Nebula being a little bit more inquisitive because they're a little bit more aware of how people maybe stab them in the back or are traitors. So these are appreciated so much by me. Then Nebula comes with a pair of fists, and what kind of fighter would she be without a pair of fists? And these are adorable, the little sculpt here with little knuckles. It's just really cute, and it does the job. I really don't have any strong opinions on this. I'm glad that they are included, and I'm surprised she wasn't packaged with them, but they're nice. I'm quite happy with the amount of hands that she comes with. There's a little pose. She could be fighting, ready to fight. And last but certainly not least, she comes with a pair of weapon holding hands, and yes, she comes with 2 different weapons, which is kind of cool, so we'll get into that. But again, these are sculpted nice. I haven't actually tried to put the weapons in them, so I'm hoping it's easy. The rest of the figure has been really easy to manage, so I guess what I'm trying to say is that even though that they're the last pair of hands, I am quite happy with everything that she comes with. And speaking of weapons, she comes with these 2 batons, and I'll be honest, I don't really remember her using these, but I'm sure she does. I'm sure she has. And I like these. Again, I like the Guardians of the Galaxy style where it's not all guns. Some of them use swords and stuff like that. It's kind of fun. So she does come with 2 of these. And there you go. There's a little pose for her, a little action pose. Pretty basic, but they look great. They're painted the same as her head, so they're shiny. They stand out against the matte blue of her body, but yeah, they look pretty cool. Her last weapon is this futuristic little phaser that she uses in the movie. I guess the character has it. I don't know the Marvel weapons that well, but I would assume she uses this. And it looks cute. Again, it's painted in silver. There's no little painted accents in there or anything, so maybe that's a little disappointing, but it looks good. It fits the character well. She looks menacing. It's Nebula, right? I can't be too harsh on this. It does what I wanted it to do. Her last accessory is something I think Star-Lord probably should have come with, but it is the encasing for the Power Stone, if I'm not wrong. I could be, though. I could be very wrong, but it is that purple stone that shows up in those Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and it looks beautiful. It's beautifully sculpted. It's in a nice kind of, it's hard to see on camera, but it's a nice purple color. And there's no peg in there, so it can't really fit onto the hand very well, but the box does have it shown with that splayed out hand that we saw earlier. So it should fit on there pretty easily, like it's made for it, but it doesn't peg in anywhere. Still, it looks good, something I think Star-Lord should have come with, but hey, Nebula does this time. Alright, there we go. It's kind of hard to hold on camera because it isn't pegged in, but I guess you could be returning it to Thanos, that center, to capture them. Either way, it looks good, but it does fall out. Oh, now it's not falling out. That's great. That's just great. Well, there's a little pose. She could be returning it to Thanos. Pretty cool. Let's move on. And unfortunately, that wraps up everything for the character. The rest of this is stuff that I don't particularly enjoy, but it's worth reviewing, it's worth talking about. So, because this is the DX version, she comes with that little play set with Endgame style Doctor Strange portals opening up here and there, and the Endgame style base, which has a rocky terrain. So let's talk about it. So for this Nendoroid, the Doctor Strange portals include this generic army, which I assume is Wakanda. They have the spears, and this Doctor Strange portal, which they all look the same. It would have been kind of cool if the background had actually been maybe from the movie, if they had put a little bit more time into that. But I have so many of these that I could probably actually create a pretty cool looking scene, but I don't like these. First of all, they're out of scale, and I guess you could have them super far away, but I don't know. Then super far away, like these colors don't really match. I'm just not a huge fan of these. I get why they did it. It's a cute gimmick, I guess, but yeah, not for me. So like we talked about earlier, she comes with a standard 3x3 Nendoroid base, which is in this rocky terrain, and a longer Haikyuu-esque one with a little bit more rock detail here. And you can set up the little scene right here. Not very complicated, gets the job done, and then you could have the character a little bit more forward or to the side of it, have it all a nice little endgame war happening, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's worth the extra plastic for this, if I'm being honest. The character does look cool on this base, however, like it fits the vibe of the movie, so that is cool. I do like these bases, I just didn't need the Doctor Strange portals. And last but certainly not least, she comes with a standard Nendoroid base and support arm, as well as an extra neck peg just in case yours breaks, and that is always appreciated. So let's get to that conclusion. So, at the end of the day, I can happily say that I really enjoy this Marvel Nendoroid, which is not something I've been able to say for, I think, a while. So, this Nendoroid Nebula has really knocked it out of the park for me. I don't have too many complaints. I'm sure there are some, but right now, I'm just kind of enjoying how fun it is, right? I don't have that much to say about it. Articulation is really well, the accessories are really solid. Sure, she could use more expressions, but uniqueness of the character and the smart method of changing the armor plates as well as the inner detail, it just kind of excuses that for me. Nebula is a character with not that many emotions, so I'm fine with 2. And while I don't particularly like this kind of stuff, I have to admit it does look kind of good right now in this little pose, so maybe I have been a little harsh on it. Still though, it does have some harsh competition. For instance, the price. Is it worth it? Probably not. I bought this figure at a little bit of a discounted price, a little bit of a sale, and even then it still wasn't worth the insane amount that they're asking for these Marvel Nendoroids. That's not Good Smile's fault, that's licensing and cost of supplies and stuff like that, but I wish they were cheaper. Maybe it's just how excited I am for the last figures that I've looked at, but all of the 2021 Nendoroids, and when I say that I mean Nendoroids that came out in 2021, have been really solid. Dabi, Chizuru, now Nebula, and more, Tenya, they've all been really good. So maybe 2021 is a golden year for Nendoroids. Maybe they're all really solid and perfect, and well, I wouldn't say perfect, but maybe they're just all really good, and it's going to be really hard for me to make a top 10 video. Anyway, please let me know your thoughts below, either from this review or your own personal Nebula in your collection. Do you like her? Is she as good as I'm saying she is, or do you disagree for whatever reason? I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. And please, and if you like this video, consider liking or even subscribing. It really helps the channel out. Stay tuned for more content, and with that, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.